Good morning. Boris Johnson's political offensive on Brexit is putting his government on the defensive. Johnson's surprise move to suspend the UK Parliament is setting off an angry backlash. Renee Filippone is in the middle of all of it for us this morning. She's in London, right outside Westminster, the British Parliament. Not alone in that location. Renee, what is the latest this hour?
Well, a lot of developments on this story today, Heather. I'm going to start with one of the big ones is the resignation of two prominent members of the Conservative government. The chief whip of the House of Lords, George Young, says he can no longer serve in that position, and he believes the move that Boris Johnson made undermines the fundamental role of Parliament at a critical time. He stepped down, and we heard rumors about it yesterday, but it was confirmed today that the Conservative leader of the Scottish Conservative Party, Ruth Davidson, has also stepped down. She held a press conference today explaining her reasons. She wouldn't say specifically it was about this move by Johnson, but that it was her issue with politics in general right now, as well as some personal reasons. So while all this is happening, however, some senior members of Johnson's party have been out defending his decision, basically saying this isn't about crunching the timeline for the Brexit debate. It is more about resetting the political agenda. And they're also challenging critics of this about how much of an impact it'll actually have on the agenda, saying it'll only be a handful of days lost to the debate because Parliament usually takes a break in late September or early October. Now, Jacob Rees-Mogg is a member of the Privy Council. He had a meeting with the Queen yesterday, and he's calling all of this anger and criticism. He's saying it's all really just fake. Have a listen.
The people who are banging on about no deal and the sort of candy floss of outrage that we've had over the last 24 hours, which, to go back to our introduction, I think is almost entirely confected, is from people who never wanted to leave the European Union. And you must bear in mind that this is the greatest period of anger for them, or of confected anger, because after the 31st of October we will have left.
Confected anger as he defends Boris Johnson's move. It's really interesting. Legal moves, resignations. We're hearing as well about petitions and protests. Lots of ways to express anger at what Johnson has done. But is there any way to stop it, Renee?
Well, yeah, protests. I'm here down on Parliament Hill. There are a handful of protesters here. There are often protesters outside Parliament Hill here in London. But yesterday there were, in fact, thousands behind me, all protesting this move, calling it a coup. We know in the last 24 hours, a petition has been signed with nearly 1.5 million people at this point. And a petition that large means that it will be debated in the legislature. What that will actually accomplish, no one knows. There are also court challenges, which I'll get to in a minute. But the Labour Party has said they will do everything they can to railroad this. Have a listen to one of their members of Parliament.
The issue is the shortage of time, and that's why Boris Johnson has mobilised this extraordinary, undemocratic move of trying to prorogue Parliament. The experts that are meeting on a cross-party basis, rest assured they'll be looking at all opportunities, all aspects and methods from which to defeat this manoeuvre by Johnson, this undemocratic manoeuvre. And you'll see over the coming days exactly those proposals be rolled out.
A court in Scotland is hearing a petition today challenging this move by Johnson, calling it unconstitutional considering the national crisis they say that's going on in the UK right now. There's another court case that might be heard here in England from an anti-Brexit campaigner who says that the advice that Boris Johnson gave the Queen is in fact illegal, unconstitutional, because it was politically motivated. Now, we know all of this is about Brexit and whether they will come to a deal or no deal. So while this is going on, leaders within Boris Johnson's government are actually in the middle of talks with leaders in the EU. And we're hearing from some of the EU members that, in fact, there hasn't been much progress made on that, specifically when it comes to the UK coming up with alternatives to the Irish backstop, which has been one of the big sticking points through all of this.
Renee, thank you. We'll check back next hour for more developments. Unlikely to be a quiet day on this story today for sure. And thanks, Renee Filippone, there outside Westminster.